I know you're sitting there watching my face right now. I also know you sit there and write code. And I think writing code is slow and stupid. So what should you do instead? It's just the truth of the matter. Okay, if you are sitting there by hand writing code, which pretty soon GPT-3 is going to be doing for you, but just kidding. I mean, that's going to take a while. You're taking a ton of time and it's just making you slower in the result that you yourself are trying to get. And the reason is that you're putting the how before you're putting the what. All right. So let me actually explain that. All right, let's remove that here real quick. You're putting the how versus what. So when you start coding, before you even know what you're trying to code, what is the main thing that you're trying to do, you're just kind of coding away. And that's getting you stuck into these areas where you're trying to build an app or you're trying to build something and it's just going like, wee, wee, instead of making forward progress, right? This is what it should look like, point A, point B. But you sometimes look like, woo, broke the code and like wrote a lot of code, right? This happens to us sometimes, software developers. Happens to me too, right? Almost to the beeline, but then we start going backwards. All right. So what do you need to do to make sure that you just go straight from point A to point B? Now, it's never going to be that smooth, first of all. But even with that said, what are some things that you can try to make it maybe a little bit smoother? What are the things that you can do? So here's what you can do. Focus on not... Before I just give you the answer and what it is that you need to do, right? I want you to understand what happens when you do this. When you're constantly like moving around and circling around and not making forward progress, you're killing your confidence, okay? This is where a lot of times developer will develop something called Imposter Syndrome, where you're like, hey, I am stuck. I don't think I'm good enough. And developers feel that even at jobs. And mostly it's because they're not making forward progress. They're kind of just stuck in this weird loop where it's repetitive and not a lot of progress is happening. This is where you need to think like a software developer. All right. And what does that mean? Think like a software developer. Oh, Qazi, think like a software developer. Such a big term. You're just going to throw this at me and have me figure it out. No, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to help you with this. Okay. But help me with something. Hit that blue button. Hit that thumbs up button so that button turns blue because it'll really help this video go out. And again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is where we focus on full stack development and React and many other things. Okay. So do that and let's continue with this. So what does it mean to think like a software developer? Well, what that basically means is you need to actually think and do a lot of thinking. So one thing I recommend before you start chopping it up and start writing code, I need you to sit there and actually write out and plan out whiteboard things. Okay. And all that means is you can even take a piece of napkin and draw out things on there as you're trying to solve your problem or figure out a solution. I want you to also write in plain English what you're trying to achieve. Because you'll realize there's a lot of crap that you don't need when sometimes you get bogged down by writing code. You're just going to be coding it, and then realize you're heading in the wrong direction the entire time. You're setting yourself up for failure. And so by making sure that you're writing pseudocode, right? One of the things I want you to look up is pseudocode. Learn how to properly write pseudocode. Learn how to take your ideas and turn them into words. Okay, plain and in your language, whatever your language is, right? But turn your ideas into words. Write it in English, what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to make a game like rock, paper, scissors or tic-tac-toe, or if you're trying to make an application, make sure you know what it does. Okay, when I hit the withdraw button, it should help me take the money out. But if the user hasn't put in an amount like $45, then it should not withdraw anything. As a matter of fact, the withdraw button should be disabled and unclickable. Okay? So withdraw button should be disabled unless the user inputs an amount. This is just an example. But in your code, you can write these comments next to your code. So when you're starting out, before you become this big bad wolf, this amazing developer, in the start off by writing out what it is that you're trying to accomplish. It's going to chunk things and make them much simpler. A lot of the problem happens for new beginner developers is where you try to chunk up everything all into one. So you think of this entire application as one thing. You think of even like login functionality as one thing, whereas login functionality even is not just one thing. You need the name field, you need the email field, right? You might need the password field. So you just have to work on putting those. Okay, so if the user can put in data, well, what do I need to do next? I need to be able to not only input, the user should not be able to only input data, but I need to be able to actually retrieve this. How do I retrieve this? So this is step one. Okay, got it, input data. Retrieving is part two. Okay, how do I retrieve this? Okay, once they actually hit submit, I can do eTarget.value or something, and that should get me either the name or the email or the password once they pop it in. Okay, great. Once I get that, what do I need to do? So before you even start doing all of this, start writing it out. So step one, for example, user needs to be able to input data, right? Then we need to be able to retrieve the data. Then we need to be able to check that data against our database. All right. You can, and if you're a beginner, you can even whip up a dummy database. All right. Right. Check if user exists. If exists, then, share sensitive information or take them to a sensitive page. If doesn't exist, well, then what I want you to do is say not authorized, okay, or whoa there, whatever the case may be. Okay, so once you write it out like that and you write out your user stories or what your flow looks like, boom, you're in business. Now the coding part is really just translating this from English into code. And when you translate it into code, the most powerful genie in the world, which is like a computer, understands what you're saying. So first you take it from English, which is the language you and I understand for humans. We want this powerful, the most powerful genie on the planet to understand our language. So we speak to it in JavaScript, or we speak to it in Python, or C++ or C# or whatever, Java. It doesn't matter. But we switch it into programming language that the computer can understand. That's effectively all you're trying to do, okay? Which is why this pseudocode is so important, and conceptual understanding of what you're trying to do is so important. It will save you so much trouble and avoid you going down the wrong path. And especially when you're a beginner, you will end up going down a lot of wrong paths, not realize it, spend hours and hours and realize, wait, that's not a feature I needed in the first place. Why am I even trying to do this? Oh, weird. So this will also keep you on track of what you're doing, okay? Because sometimes if you don't have this, how you'll code is maybe you'll start working on inputting and you'll only complete the name fields and not the email and password field. Then maybe you'll start working on the logic of if the user exists. And then you'll start working and you'll be like, oh yeah, if the user exists, then the other thing I need to do is what if they don't exist? And you'll work on this. And they'll be like, I also need to be able to retrieve the data, and you'll do this. And it's just like messy and all over the place. And then you'll realize, I didn't put an email or password. Oh, I set up my database wrong because that also doesn't ask for email or password. Oh gosh. So you're going to go down this whole crazy path. Whereas if you do it in a normal way, then just boom, 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 boom. You just go down all these, right? And you just finish all of them. And this is what I said in my yesterday's video. If you watched it, and I said, hey, going slow is going fast in the world of software development. Okay? So this is where this is going to help you. And when you write things down in English, before you start writing your code, you focus on the what you're trying to do. You also focus on the why you're trying to do it, which these two are more important. What you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it. Okay? And then lastly, we focus on the how. Okay? The problem that happens is when you think of it all at once, you think of it like what, how, why, and you try to do all of this at once. So your little human brain, okay, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to say that's your like brain, okay? And then this is the you human. I don't know why your brain is like way bigger than you, but that's just what it is. So I don't care to deal with it. Okay, so that's you, and that's your brain, and your brain is going crazy. It's like, what? It's just going from like what to how to why to how to what to how why, how to what to how why. And it's just constantly going through that cycle in like this endless loop, and you're not making forward progress. By the time your day gets done, you're just done with these 2 steps and your brain is hurting. So what you actually need to do is go, let's just do one thing at a time and let's separate it out. So now imagine you could either be that person with all of those things running through your head, or you could be this other person. Let's go right here. And you just have the what. Okay, let's just go what. That's the first thing that's in your head. Just one thing at a time. What am I trying to do? Cool. This is what I'm trying to do. Got it. Okay. Why is this important? Okay. That's why it's important. Okay. I know why I'm trying to do this. I also know what I'm trying to do. And then now the last part, how. How equals coding. Okay. Do you see that coding is 33% of your job, okay? That's the how. How is 33%. Why is 33%. And your what is 33%. All right? So really, coding is this part. Your how is the coding part. So let's just write code right there, okay? That's the only time you worry about writing code. So only 1/3 of your job as a software developer, or even less, is actually writing code. I would argue even a lot less, okay? That's the part you do at the end, which is the how part, and then you sit down. Most people are coding 90% of the time. They're like not even thinking, just start writing gibberish code. And then you run into these problems and you run into these errors and you get frustrated and you feel like you're not making progress. Well, it's not really your fault. It's the fault of you not knowing the right way to think through and problem solve. It's the fault of you not having a clear idea of what you need to do to succeed. It's the fault of you not setting yourself up for success. Okay? And you not knowing how to do that, and you not being educated from YouTube tutorials or Udemy tutorials or boot camps or wherever. Or, college. So you need to know all of these things, and you need to understand that coding is not the most important part of my job. Coding is something I do. Coding is something I love to do. It's a lot of fun, but I need to have my what and the how straight, or my what and the why and the what straight. And the how is the coding part. That's what I do at the end. That's the detail implementation. Okay, those are the implementation details of it being a reality, of you turning it into an actual thing. All right, so that's pretty important for you to be aware of, for you to understand. And once you understand that, here's what starts to happen. Okay, so let's write down the what, the why, and the how. This is 2/3 of your job. All right, that means this is 66% or more of your job. So if you work on this, something weird happens. On surface, I don't see anything improving. Okay, so let's say that that's the surface. This is the tip of the iceberg. Okay, this is the code or the application of yours that I see. Okay, this is what you've produced. Now, this is the thinking behind it. Okay, and this is the why behind it. And this is really what makes a great software developer. This is where senior developers are. Okay, when you see their code or you see their app, they're like, that's pretty cool. But 90%, 60 to 90% of the main things are happening underneath, which is when they're thinking of the what and the why. It's not necessarily how many lines of code that they're writing. Okay, so you, as somebody who's maybe beginning and getting better in your journey, understand that that's where you get the biggest results. And what that looks like is you will get these hockey stick results if you get your what and why and your thinking clear. If you get your thinking clear, you become a killer in software development. Instead of other people who are like worried about syntax and new things in the framework and like I just learned this new library and oh, wow, yeah, this library is so cool. It lets me do this one thing a lot easier. Okay, great. But you are working on something that's deeper, that's better, that's more thought out. And that sometimes you don't really see it right away, right? But this is where you get this hockey stick growth. And that's the growth I want you to have. I don't want this to happen to you where you plateau, because somebody just learning new frameworks, new languages, what happens? Like theoretically, if they just learned every single language and every single thing, their growth is like plateaued forever. But if you're learning how to solve problems, if you're learning how to actually bring value to the market, if you're learning, your growth is crazy. Whereas these people, they have good early growth and then they start to plateau, in my opinion, as software developers. I know developers that have been developing for like 10 years and my skill set is better than them. I know developers who've been developing for 15 years and I can run circles around them. And it's only because I feel like I got my fundamentals right and I got my principles right and I have my thinking right and my what. I focus so much on the what and the why. I'm like not religious to code at all. I don't give a shit about writing code. I love code, but practically speaking, if the solution already exists online, I will find it and I will use that. Why? So I don't have to write code. Why? So I don't have to maintain code. Why? So I only use my brain on the novel problems, not on trivial problems. That's where you're hindering your growth. I'm focused on the what and the why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this for a customer. I'm doing this for a client. Okay, well, if I'm doing this for a client, then I want them to have an amazing app. Well, if I'm about to make an app that's helpful for them, do I do my job right? Yes, I do. Whether I code it or if some solution exists online, like a library or a framework or a repo that I could use and build on top of an open source project, does the client care? Does the company care? They probably don't. They just want to make sure, hey, as long as it's legal, you're not stealing or plagiarizing code, you're good, right? And they just care about the end result. They don't want to pay me like for 3 months of my time to build them this same app from scratch. So they'll pay way more. And then they'll also have to pay for me to maintain it. And when it messes up, they're also dependent on me. Whereas with the open source way, maybe I just built something up. They got it up and running in a few days. They're able to use it. I'm much more valuable as a developer. And no, they won't replace me. They will give me more and more work because they're like, hey, you're doing a great job. What and the why? People just get so caught up in the how. They're like, oh, I got this project. Like, I'm going to use Node.js for this. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to use Headwind UI. And then I'm going to use Tailwind CSS. And I'm going to use AWS to scale it horizontally and vertically. And then I'm going to use this cloud computing. And then I'm going to do this DevOps thing. And oh man, you should look at my GitHub actions that I have for this workflow. And yeah, I definitely cannot forget Travis CI. And I have all the testing in place. Like I have the unit testing in place. This is going to be an awesome. Yo, did you realize that a solution already exists and you just wasted 2 months of your fucking time? Do you not fucking care about your time, energy, effort? You just want to sit there, write code, make a fun, pretty stack. Cool. I'm there to help the client and the customer. So what happens? I get them the results faster. I get paid way more. You get paid way less. So I want you to be the person that gets paid more. I want you to be the person that's much more valuable. Think like a software developer. Software developers are always thinking about the what and the why, not the how. It's your boy Qazi. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. As always, I love your beautiful face. Last but not least, I want to say something. If you've been following my channel, if you've been on this thing and you're like, hey, this is great content. I'm actually learning so much. This is all awesome stuff. It's great. If you are serious about actually landing a job and mastering full stack development, we just launched Full Stack Mastery Coding Bootcamp. We launched it a couple of months ago. Students are getting incredible results. And I shared this yesterday with you guys as well. But just in case you missed it, we have within a span of 2 to 3 months of just launching this program, and it's a 6 to 8 month long program, we already have 3 students that have full-time jobs. And they're not even done with the program. And we have a student, Dave, we have on who just went from Postmates to getting a full-time job, a $70,000 a year job. We have Dave, who just got a 6-figure job, which is absolutely incredible. And then, of course, our goal is to help 5,000 developers get jobs this year, whether it's through our bootcamp or YouTube. Both are exciting. Okay, so what we want to do in this bootcamp, our goal is, hey, how can we take people and how can we take you and make sure that you learn the what and the why and not just the how. How do you become a good software developer, not just a programmer? Okay, how do you learn how to think where you're getting set up? Your foundation is so strong that you're looking at this growth, not the other plateau, which in the start feels exciting. That's what happens at other boot camps, right? You go to these other boot camps, they're like, yeah, you're learning APIs this week. Week 2, you're learning backend. Week 3, you're learning front end. Week 4, you have your first e-commerce app built. Week 5, you're going to have your restaurant app built. And all that's happening is you're getting excited. And then you go to the real world and just your basics are shit. You go to the interview, they like kick you out and laugh you out of the room. Even when you get the job, you get fired after 4 months because they just realized and found out that you're not a good software developer. You'd rather go slow in the start. So then you have this growth. And that's built on strong foundations. And our Full Stack Mastery Bootcamp, that's what we focus on. A massively strong foundation. So we're going to be mastering data structures and algorithms. Okay. The first 2 to 3 months are going to be the hardest of any bootcamp or any program you've ever been to. Okay. But we're going to be there and make sure that you do well and succeed in this. Okay. And then in our program, the next things we focus on is, of course, we'll work with you on front-end development. So this includes JavaScript, React.js, all of that. We will work with you, HTML, CSS, right? We'll work with you on backend development skills. Okay. So that includes things like Firebase, which is a real-time database, MongoDB, NoSQL database, Postgres. You'll learn all of this stuff because this is still needed. So MySQL database is still one of the most popular ones. So you'll learn those as well. And then, of course, at the end, we will be focusing on helping you find a full-time job. Okay, that's the last phase where after you've built these massive projects, you move into being focused on getting full-time jobs. And that's where we're going to work with you until you land a job. Okay, so in my opinion, with all the other boot camps I've seen, with all the other programs we've seen, this is by far the best program out there in the world. And the reason why I can say that with confidence is even I know from our YouTube platform, right? Just all the content we have out there for you to enjoy, and we will continually keep putting out. So whether you join this or not, you're going to be getting massive value for free forever. Even that content has helped countless of people get jobs. I recently got off a call with one of the people, and he was like, yo, I was homeless and now I got a $60,000 a year job as a software developer. That's freaking awesome. That's what excites me and fuels me and the team every single day. And if our content on YouTube can bring this much value, or our program Profit with JavaScript, this is that, but then on a whole another level, because it's a 6 to 8 month online boot camp. It is completely immersive. All right, so 8 month. This is not like some other like weird, scammy or shitty, like, no offense to other boot camps, but how are you planning to teach people in 3 months? How are you planning to turn somebody into a software developer in 12 weeks? Can one of you bootcamp people please come on this platform and have a conversation with me about it? Because I don't understand. The only way that that's happening, that these other bootcamps are getting most other people jobs, is most of the times in the 12-week type of bootcamp, what's happening is that you're taking a good software developer already, taking them through the program, and they're getting a job. It's like how Harvard takes students. Was Harvard the thing that turned the student into a success, or was that student have to be a pretty successful person, intelligent person, capable person with so many tons of resources beforehand that they're even able to get into Harvard, right? Chicken or the egg. So with most other boot camps, it's not complete beginners. We take a lot of pride because we are working with complete beginners all the way to advanced people and helping them get jobs, get results, and get their skills up and master full stack development. Okay? So it's a completely online immersive program. So you're going to be mastering all of this stuff. Okay? And then, of course, what I've told you already, which is a full-time job. We help you find a full-time job. And some of the things that we do to do that is make sure that you have mock interviews as well as that you have access to amazing job opportunities. Okay? So if these things excite you, if this interests you, what we're doing right now is we're doing basically a 30 to 45 minute strategy call. And in this call, what our goal is, either me or one of my team members at Clever Programmer is going to hop on a call with you, and we're going to give you massive value. Okay? Our goal is to give you essentially a full roadmap to become a full stack developer on this call. And what we want to help you do is decide if this boot camp is right for you or not. If it's not, we're going to point you in a direction of something else that's valuable for you, or we're going to be like, hey, just enjoy our free content on YouTube. If it is, then we're going to show you how you can actually enroll in this boot camp. Okay? Keep in mind that this boot camp, we're going to open up for a little bit, and then we're going to shut down the doors as soon as our July cohort is booked, because June cohort, if you missed out, you missed out. It got booked out and it's done. So we've shut that down. But for our July cohort, you're still able to join, okay? And that's the reason why I'm even sharing this with you, so you have an opportunity as a member of our YouTube channel to be able to know, hey, what's coming up, okay? So I'm just keeping it real with you, letting you know what type of opportunity exists. And one day we would even want to do something like this in person, because I think it would be so freaking cool and so much fun, okay? So this call is going to be massively valuable for you. We're going to give you a ton of value. What I want you to do is click the link below, and it'll take you to a page where you can apply for this bootcamp. Make sure you answer all the questions in as much detail as possible. And if it seems like you're a good fit, because most applications, unfortunately, we deny just because we cannot take the volume of people that apply. We deny 80% of the people. So if you get declined, I apologize ahead of time, but maybe it's just not the right fit at this time. But if you get through, then you are able to book a call and jump on a call, and you will speak with one of our team members. So make sure, click the link below, go and apply. The call is absolutely free, and if it makes sense for you to join the bootcamp, then of course it's going to be an investment, but our goal is to help you change your life, change your career, and become a software developer. Take your passion in coding and turn it into something you get paid to do. That's it. I love your beautiful face. This is Qazi, and I'll see you in the next video.